What's up, YouTube family? It's S.Craft back with another tutorial video, and today I want to show you my version of a blowout. Some call it a Philly fade, a 9-5. There's many different names for this cut, but first we're starting out making our guideline, and this is going to be a higher taper. So I started right at the top of the C cup, brought the angle down right behind the ear, closer to the front, and then I'm balding it out with my Andis Slimline Pro LIs. We want to make sure that that line is nice and straight and crispy because this is going to be our first guideline. Today we can see that this guy has salt and pepper hair, which can be very difficult at times, but I'm going to show you how to make this thing nice and blurry, man. We're going to get this thing looking right. So now we're doing our first guideline in the back for the back taper, and I want it to be, you know, somewhat high, so I brought it kind of right around the bottom of the ear section, and now I'm balding it out with the Slimline Pro LIs. Man, this thing's gonna look so blurry at the end. I'm telling you, I'm just gonna give you an easy process on how to make this cut just come out blurry, look so juicy. Right now I have my Andis Pro Foil shavers. You know, I'm dropping down a little bit lower than the guideline, and I am shaving there. Now I want to give you a little tip. Before you go up with a shaver, go right under the line and go down. Just hit a few flicks down, because what it'll do is it'll still give you a little bit more dimension. When you go up against the grain, it's going to get it really bald. But if you'll just tap it a couple times going down, it'll kind of help blend that hair, even the really short hairs that you can barely see, to knock out some of the line that may be created with the shaver. Now he wants to do a 2.5 all over. So because I'm going to be tapering the sides up, I went ahead and did a 2 on the side, but we're going to start by doing the 2.5. As you can see, I take my barber comb and I like to bring the hairs back. One thing with gray hairs or white hairs, many times they're very coarse, they're very stubborn, and hair in general, a lot of times want to lay down underneath the other hairs. So I encourage you, use your comb, stroke it backwards, and immediately come back behind it with your guard. So right now I'm using a number 2 guard, and these are the Wall Magic clips with the premium number 2 guard on there. We're just going to speed this video up a little bit, you know, go around and just knock it all down to a number 2. Once again, it was a 2.5 on top and a 2 on the side. So this is what I'm doing now. I'm breaking out my fast feeds, and I'm opening up with no guard. It's a no guard opened all the way up, and I'm making my second guideline now, and I'm taking it up, you know, about 3/4 of an inch to an inch. And then you'll see that I'll close it about halfway, and then I'll close it about 3/4 of the way, and then I'll close it all the way, and I just continue to work my way down. Many of you know that I like using the fade down technique. I think it's just an amazing technique. It works. So I switch it up sometimes. So now that I've kind of hit that second guideline, faded it down, now I'm going to my 1 guard, and I opened it right up. So I'm going to go ahead and attack that guideline that we see. And because I have a 2 on the side, you know, I wanted to go into a 1.5 and just take it up a little higher, but blend that 1.5 into the 2 that we already have on the side. Now I close it and I start dropping it down just a little bit. So once again, the whole fade down technique that we keep in mind is, you know, we want to start a little higher with a higher guard or an open guard, and then close it and just continue to work our way down a little bit. So now I put on our 1/16 magnetic guard, and I'm dropping right down a little bit lower than where the 1 was, and we're just going to go ahead and knock out some more of the line that we created, our first initial guideline. Now I closed my 1/16 guard, once again attacking that line a little bit lower, hitting right on the line and a little above it, just to kind of blend it. And as you can see, it's starting to come together. It's starting to get a little blurry on it. So what we're going to do now is take that guard off, go back to the open blade, and start attacking that line once again. Very simple process. Anyone can do it. I believe in you. Definitely try this on your next cut. I think these blowouts, high tapers on the side, to me, they look incredible. I have a lot of customers that want them. Some people like the C cup. I prefer not having the C cup for these types of haircut. I think it just looks cleaner in my opinion. But you know, you got to give your customer what they want. So once again, we're just working out some details. As you see, I'm hitting the corners of the blade to kind of hit more of those darker areas, so that way we can make this thing blend a lot better. Now I'm coming back in with my Anda Slimline Pros just to do a little more detail work, and there again you'll see that I'm using, the majority of the time I'm using just the corners of the blade just to tap out little dark spots that I see. And now for my viewing pleasure, while I have my Slimlines in my hands, I'm going to go ahead and hit that front edge. For me, I just like doing that. I mean, some people wait to the very end. I just like to see what it's looking like. I want to see how this thing's coming along, and many times you can have a nice blend, but as soon as you throw that edge on it, it just pops a little more. And being I had it in my hand already, I went ahead and used it. I think that's a good trick, man. When you're doing something, the more that you can do while that instrument is in your hand, do it, because it saves time, so you don't have to continue putting down a clipper, picking up a clipper. So here again, I've seen a few more little things that I want to touch up now that I have that line on there, and you know, just wanted to tap that out real quick. So we're going to do the same exact steps on the opposite side of the head. We're jumping in with the 1, and we go to the 1/16, and yeah, you've seen that. So now I'm going to go ahead and hit the front. And there again, you can go ahead and attack the back if you want, but because I've already done the front 2 blends, I figured I'd go ahead and just try to knock the whole front of this haircut out. So I'm putting the edge on it. Now if you notice, I like to, if the edge is pretty straight already, if it's naturally straight, I like to start my lineup in the middle of the forehead, and then I'll work my way out to the sides, bringing the sides into the middle so I can get a nice straight line. However, sometimes people have some really jacked up lines up front. Sometimes they're really high on one side or really low on the other side, and what I like to do is I like to start, say, with the higher side, so that way I just barely tip up the higher side or touch up the higher side, and then I know where I have to bring that over into the lower side. But every now and then, obviously, you want to step back and just kind of look at the edge, make sure it's straight, and touch up what you don't have. While I have that in my hand, instead of going into blending in the back, I figured I'd go ahead and line up the back to save time switching out clippers. So I'm going around the ear now. I'm just trying to bring this thing together, make it look nice. Don't be afraid to pull your client's ear down either. I know there's some ears, man, they're like concrete. Them things won't move for nothing. But if you have a more flexible ear, it's not going to hurt them. Pull it down, get in there as good as you can. It makes things a lot easier. So we have this side lined up already. Now we're going to line up the other side. Well, I'm telling you, I got them things zero gap so hard, and they are hitting. Man, that line looks like a laser beam was put on it. Come on, somebody. That's good stuff right there. And yes, I do zero gap everything that I use. And I know sometimes a lot of barbers, they switch out a lot of clippers. I like to stick with the ones that work for me. I mean, I have a lot of clippers, but I usually stick with the ones I like. So now, as you can see, I'm going back to the shear over comb, and I'm just hitting out any dark spots. The reason this is important with salt and pepper hair is because there again, the gray hairs almost make different spots look bald, and the black hairs make it look like there's hair there. So it kind of can look patchy if you're not careful. Even if the blend is on the money, it can still look patchy because of those dark and light hairs. So let's just go in and start tapping out, some of those darker areas so that it looks aesthetically pleasing when you look at it. Doesn't matter if all the hairs are the same length and you know that the blend is blurry. Whenever you look at it, if it still looks patchy, that's a problem. So you want to, use your shear over comb technique and just kind of tap out those darker areas. As you can see, I see a little line here. I'm just using the tips of my blade. I love using the Barber comb because it gets really tight to the skin. It's small on the end, really thin. So then I can gauge how close I want it. And if I don't want it too close, I pull back a little bit. So now we're going to go ahead and start the back of this cut. And there again, same process we used on the side. So I'm going to speed it up here in just a moment. But first, knock out that guideline, which is simply no guard, open blade. And then we'll close it to about a half. And then we'll close it all the way. And we'll just continue dropping down on this blend as we're closing it. So now you can see I'm going a little bit lower. When I close it, go a little bit lower, just balled it out. So now I went ahead and went into the number 2 magic clip and just kind of brought it up into the 2, and then I went down to a 1 with an open blade, and then I'll go down to my 1/16 guard and just work my way down. Take the guard off, blend it all back in, shear over comb once again. Now you'll see that I'm going to go a little higher into this because he has one big dark patch in the back. And there again, I don't care if the hair is a little shorter in certain areas, just as long as it doesn't look patchy. I want this thing to blend, I want it to look smooth. Now I'm taking my number 1 premium guard with my wall magic clips, and I'm going with the grain very lightly because there's many little hairs that are going to stick up all over the place, and I just want to knock those off to give it more of a clean look. I'm not trying to take it any lower. I'm not trying to press really hard. I just want to knock off those loose hairs that are standing up. Now I'm taking my straight razor. Once again, we like to use Tomb 45 shave gel. It is an amazing shave gel. It helps the blade slide really smooth. But check this out. We're just touching it up, cleaning up that line, giving it a nice crisp look. Man, this thing's coming together, ain't it? Come on, somebody. And I'm telling you, you can do this. This is just simple techniques that you can do. Now, we went with the grain on the edge with the razor. Now lean their head back and go against the grain so that you can just, make that thing pop even harder. Hey, if you're not following me on Instagram, make sure you do that now. You can find me at S.Craft_blends with a Z. Boom. There's your finished product. Man, I hope that you like this tutorial. If you do, please subscribe to my channel, give this thing a thumbs up, and share it with your friends. Peace.